Today we are going to talk about the Dementia Overview. So overall agenda is why we have to do this Dementia, how Dementia stands in overall market, and then little bit about the training part. Okay, so at the end of this session you will get this PPT, and as well as you will get some link where you will download this PPT, and as well as you need to download some software which I'm going to talk about. So this is the Demantra, which is running on my laptop. So it's running on the virtual machine. We'll talk on how to download it and what are the things that has to be done. Yep. Let's start. Yes. So what we are going to do is that for implementation approach, for implementation methodology, or what are the steps need to be followed. So that is going to be breakdown in individual topics. So probably what we can do that we will have a wrap-up session at the end of the training saying that okay, this is the steps that we need to follow. Okay, so let's talk about what is the business case for forecasting. Okay, so now this is assume that you are in the multi-billion dollar business company, and this circle represent these are your customer base, and the triangle represent your plant, and this yellow box represents a warehouse. So this is your supply chain network. So you will see your customer spreads across globe, and you are having very few plants, and whenever there is no any plant, you are having that warehouse. So here they don't have any plants, so there is a warehouse, or they want to distribute smoothly, so there is a warehouse. So that kind of structure is there. So this is the overall very high level. Like we are mostly manufacturing in India, China, and Canada, and then we are shipping to US, then China and Canada. So majority of manufacturing is happening in some other countries, and shipments are happening to some other countries. So this is our overall distribution side, and this is what we have seen the supply chain network. Let's talk about the growth. So so you are having 77% of the order from the non-OEM customers. So these are unique to that customer. So like if you're manufacturing like cranes, so as per the government standard, so like if it is from US, and then and again that cranes are used for the construction, so they are having pretty common standard, and that particular type of the cranes will be sold in US. That will not be sold somewhere in India and China. So so that kind of it's a specific requirement for specific customer, specific zone. So that's a OEM type of requirement. But majority of the times you are manufacturing pretty common products which can be sold anywhere. So that kind of structure is there. So you are selling the more standard products than your custom products. Like for the construction, I need only this much length, and this should be the base. So that kind of requirement. So these are the OEM requirements. So you are having less OEM business, but more kind of pretty standard and commonly used items which are sold to multiple customers. So now how to do this forecasting? Because from if it is OEM customer, so it is a specific to customer. Then customer might say, okay, this is my projection for this kind of products. Like I'm opening a new project. For example, oil refineries. And for oil refineries, I can see that I need this type of the cranes with this type of motors and insulation. So that is a specific requirement coming from the customer, and he's providing the projection. So you will get some forecast for OEM demand, but for non-OEM demand, like which are items which are sold from the shelf, like you are electrical motor manufacturing company and you are making um, uh, 5 HP, 10 HP, 15 HP motors. These are the pretty standard, can be used anywhere. So it's on the product sold from the shelf. So that kind of standard products for which customer is not going to give a demand. Distributor is not going to give a demand. Reseller is not going to give a demand. He said, okay, I need a material tomorrow. That kind of business that you're running. So how you will do the forecasting? So that is a challenge. And so you need to predict a future. How can we predict the future? So you see this is a history pattern. So this is happening, this has happened for the last year. And what you will do, you will use that history pattern and you will project to the future. If you see it, there is some spike typically in the end of the year. Now for this example, there is a spike in the March because of some financial year closing or something like that. So there is a spike. So you will also expect that kind of spike in the demand for next year as well. But it might be less, it might be more. So that variation will be there, but there is a spike. So you try to copy that demand history pattern and paste it into future. So you will predict the future, and that's nothing but its actual forecasting process. Now, this is not a very simple process. You need to consider your past sale, which might be increasing, decreasing, or it might be some irrational. Like suddenly there is for January you are having a sale of 0, February something 50, and then in the March it has having very huge spike like 1,000. So there is a erratic pattern. So it's not a pretty standard, like there is an average demand for every month is like 100, 200, 300, 400, again 300, 200. It's not a pretty standard pattern. It's not a pretty smooth pattern. So you are having that kind of pattern. Then you are having marketing team. Like marketing team, they are closer to your sales team, to your customer. And they are having some input like, okay, now this customer is going to give me order, but he's not able to create a purchase order. That's why he's not sending me this PO. But he's expecting that kind of order. So that customer got a big contract from government. They are doing that kind of project. So I'm expecting this kind of business from my customer. So they are having that type of feel. And based on that, we have to take an input. Then there is some financial target. For this year, our business or revenue should be 0.3 million, 0.1 million. So that is a revenue target. Then you are already having some backlogs, production backlog. So these are something uh, input to your forecasting process. So you might have some production backlog, like you have already given some order and there is a 30% or 40% of order till date are not yet fulfilled. So there are some past due demand. Then you want to build some additional buffer. Like you might do the forecasting. Forecasting will not be accurate. It will never be accurate, even if you use any type of forecasting tool. But what we can do that we'll try to achieve maximum accuracy. But there is always chance of short of the material, or there is a over bidding more material than expected. So there is always some inaccuracy. So you want to avoid that inaccuracy. You want to overcome that accuracy. Like if you have forecasted 100, and for that month you might get forecast for 200, or the actual sales order for 200. So forecast 100 and sales order is 200. So now you need to build 100. How you can build it? There is only capacity. Last minute you are saying that you need to increase the demand by 100 for production by 100. That's not possible. So that is the inaccuracy part. Then there might be some promotions typically in case of retail business, you might have seen the promotions in Diwali or during the Christmas period or during the Thanksgiving time. So buy one get one free, 30% off if you buy more than $1,000, something like that. So that kind of promotion, and that kind of promotion will also impact your sale. If there is a good promotion is going on, then sales will be high. So then you might be introducing a new product like iPhone 6 that was launched in 2016. Now, if we are launching the iPhone 7 in 2017, then iPhone 6 sales will be down. So we are introducing a new product. So so that is a impact of launching a new product on old product. So that kind of impact we need to see. Then the price change, like we have dropped some price for all the products. Then we are running some campaign, like we have, like usually Oracle does this Oracle Open World. So that kind of campaign that if we run that, then all the customer will attend and they will come to know, okay, this is a new product, this is a better product, and there is there might chance that your sales might get increased. So these are the various parameters. These are not just these are not only the listed ones. There might be some further more parameters which might impact your sale. So now assume that you are you are running a $70 billion now. Even if you take an example of Cummins or Emerson, these are the big organizations. If you are running this much big organization business with this many variables, and if you have only this history data, then how that can be achieved? There are so many parameters, huge data. There are lots of things to manipulate. So now this is your actual situation of forecasting. But if you see what is happening in the current market, still most of the companies are using Excel. So don't go with this exact figures. The idea behind that situation is this is happening in the market. Like most of the companies use the Excel, they manipulate in Excel and then they will uplift, downlift that particular numbers and they build a forecast. Then most of the company don't have the best in class forecasting tool. Still they might be using the some other tool which sometimes it does not consider your promotion impact. Sometimes it does not consider new product launch impact, price change impact. So these kind of impact that is not considered. They are just using the history and the building based on history, projecting yourself. But while determining, they are not using these are the inputs. So they don't have the best in class tool. Then they don't have the conscience forecast. What is meant by conscience forecast? So the forecast which is approved by, which is accepted by, which is going to meet your financial target, your input from the sales guys, and then also that once you collaborate with these two, then also it is also accepted by the production. Because if the sales guys say, okay, I need 1,000 quantity next, and production says, I don't have capacity, I can build only 900. So that is the conscience forecast will be around. So you need to adjust. Like sales guys say some figure, there are some financial figures, and then supply side, the operations guys, they will say there is something different. So you have to build one conscience forecast. And then if you want to if you want to consider all this kind of input, then you have to build that particular kind of forecaster, and then you have to invest the time, you have to provide some more training. So if you see, it's not a straightforward, simple process of the overall forecasting. So just to come back, so we talked about so many things. First we talk about the supply chain network. You are having worldwide supply chain network. Most of demands are coming from customer who is not providing you forecast. So you have to build something forecast. You have to run your this much big business, so you have to do forecast. Then we have also seen what is the easiest way to do the forecasting. Just do the projection. But actually it's not just just copying the history pattern and pasting to the future. It's not a straightforward. These are some additional input that we have to consider. But while considering, so this is the current market situation which is there. So like most of the company don't have the proper forecasting tool. There are some bottleneck. There is some lack of information. Now, if we consider this, so this is again another representation of what is happening in the currently in the market. So this is the one Excel sheet from the financial guys, they do the budgeting like, okay, these are the figures. We have to for month of January, our sales should be 0.3 million. And then for production planning, okay, so my capacity for next few months is I can build 100 quantity per month. So financial planning, from the financial planning, you are getting some dollar value. Then from the production, we are getting some capacity. Then a new product from engineering team, we are getting these are the new product which will be replaced by these products. Then so these are the various inputs, and these are inputs. What do you call? These are not linked to each other. They are not pass this information to each other. Like if you want to take a dollar value and then you have to consider the capacity and the new product which is launched by engineering team, you want to consider these three effects. So somebody has to do, and that information needs to be shared. Somebody has to collaborate. That collaboration part is still not happening. And whereas the software has to be done in such a way that it will take the manual input, it does the adjustment, and then it will determine the forecast. So that's why we need some kind of software here. And then welcome to the Demantra world. So this is the Demantra. It does all these things. This is the consensus forecast is output of sales and operation planning. So this is one of the Demantra module. And what it does that, so basically you will generate your baseline forecast by using your history pattern and history data. And then on top of that, what you will do that, you will have multiple worksheets, like for the sales. So you might hide, for the sales you can hide that what is the production capacity in that worksheet. And then, but you will show what is the figures, what is the number, financial numbers. And then they will open that worksheet. They will update, okay, for this product category, I'm expecting this much sale. And whereas if you go to the finance guys, they might see some information and we can hide some information, again, depending on the requirement. Financial guys, they are interested in number. They are not interested in the quantity. So they will say, okay, for January month, this sales should be there. Or they, at the most, they can go to the product category level, product group level, or sometimes sales channel, again, depending on how you configure. But there will be, they put some figures. And whereas operation guys, what we have to show them, okay, this is the backlog, and this is your capacity, and this is something a baseline forecast, or this is something a forecast which I have received from operation sales. So then, so now again, this is from the system side. So actually what you have to do, you should have monthly once a meeting with all these three departments. They have to sit together and they have to finalize the amount. And then that amount will be approved by general manager or something. And then whatever the approved forecast is there, then we have to publish back to planning tool. Let's start from the financial. So first financial, they will go, this is your target. This is how much you have to achieve. Then it goes to the sales guys. So that financial numbers will be seen by the sales guys and they will say, okay, so I think I can achieve this target for this product category, I won't be able to achieve. So they will adjust that. And then it goes to the operation guys. So the operation guy, he will say, okay, so these are the figures from all these two departments and this is my available capacity, this is my backlog. And then, okay, on the top of this, my backlog, I can build this much for next month, and which is under my capacity. So they will come with the final figures. On top of that, what will happen? Now this is these things are happening in the system, and then the outside of system is actually they have to conduct one meeting, and then they have to sit together and they have to collaborate. They have to do the cross discussion, and then once they are agreed on one particular numbers, so they will so that number will be added to the another series, which we call as a consensus forecast or approved forecast. You can build that series, and or you can use the seeded series, and then the forecast will be exported from that series only. If there is only figure in that series, then that particular item's forecast will not be published. So it will not be a baseline forecast, it will not be a financial forecast, it will not be a sales forecast, it will be a conscience forecast that goes to planning. So this should be your actual steps. So now coming back to Demantra solution. So what it does that it senses the demand. So first it senses the demand. Okay, this is my demand which is coming, which was there in history, or these are the new upcoming sales, and then it responds to the demand like, okay, so this is my capacity and this is my current inventory situation, and then it shapes the demand. Okay, this much is that you need to build. This much is the short for you. So this is approach for Demantra solution. It's a real-time information integration between the demand, sales, inventory, planning. And let's talk about what are the things that are offered by Demantra. Okay, so just to so Demantra is having 6 sub applications. We'll talk of further in PPT. But so we talked about, okay, projecting the demand based on history. So that's actually demand management part. So that can be handled by Oracle Demantra. Trade promotions, like running the promotion 30% off, 20% off. So what it does that based on the promotion, what was happened in the past. Like in the past, I have provided same kind of promotions, and because of that there was 10% spike in the sales. The same kind of spike will be seen. That's that particular if we apply that promotions, then you will see this kind of spike. So that calculation will be happen, and that is provided by trades and promotion, and that option is there in Demantra. Then sales and operation planning, what we discuss about conscience forecast, and then financial planning, and all these things will be there in Demantra. But if you compare this Demantra with SAP or I2, so these are some other demand planning applications. So in that, the SAP does not have, SAP is having a weak capability about the trade and promotions, whereas they cannot do this sales and operation planning where you will see this is my demand, this is my current inventory situation. That feature is also weak, and or they don't have it. And but the SAP does the basic level demand planning. I2 does the same kind of thing, but again I2 is having some capabilities are missing. So this is a comparison with the various top demand planning tools, and even if you compare with the Oracle demand planning, it was not having that capability at all about this trades and promotion. So the Demantra is the only applications which is having all this capability, and this application is used and approved by these many companies. So even if you start with if you take an example of this Wilch, so they or any what is that? Even there are some companies who are manufacturing breweries like whiskey or rum. So that kind of companies are using Demantra, because Demantra is not something which is used only for discrete. It can be used for retailer, it can be used for consumable goods. Then pomegranate juice. I have seen some companies which they are using that Demantra for pomegranate. Again, up to the extreme level. They are using trades and sales and operation, trade promotions, and along with the demand planning. Then, of course, in electronics, industrial manufacturing, GE, Cummins, Emerson, Infruit, and even if you take an example of media and entertainment like EA Games, Infruit. So Infruit is they build tax applications. They do some tax calculation things. So they uses that. Then in case of high tech like Zebra, that's a label manufacturing company. Netgear, these are Modem, VTech. Again, they manufacture some small kids games. Cisco, Arrow Electronics. Garmin, Kodak. So all these there are lots of the customers. So it's not just like a discrete manufacturing companies or project manufacturing companies. There are customers who are using this Demantra for breweries, electronics, industrial products, everywhere. So it's a pretty widely used application. And this is a little bit history about Demantra, how the Demantra come in, why it is like how the Demantra is part of Oracle. So actually, the Demantra is not part of this is not something homegrown application of Oracle. That was built by some engineers from Massachusetts, and they actually built that model, forecasting model. So they built the core of whole forecasting process, which is the model. And then by using this statistical model, they build one software and they started selling that software, and they built some customer base. And when in 2006, Oracle realized that their Oracle demand planning tool is not capable of doing that much detailed calculation. And at that time they purchased. Now with this, Demantra is part of Oracle. And they stopped selling this demand planning tool from Oracle side. They are selling only Demantra. Now further that what they done that they expanded this Demantra horizon. So now the earlier Demantra was like a standalone tool, but with Oracle they started integrating with all their ERPs like JD Edwards, then of course Oracle Business Suite, and they also provided provisions to integrate with the rest of other non-Oracle ERPs. And then then further that they stopped this ODP. That's Oracle Demand Planning Tool. So this is a little bit history about the Demantra. Okay, and now what we have seen is the challenges for the business. Then we have seen how the Demantra is best in class, and then how the Demantra is part of Oracle. Now we are going little bit in deep. What other things are happening in Demantra? So these are the sub modules in Demantra. So demand planning, advanced forecasting, trade promotions. These are the 6 modules which comes under the Demantra application. So the sales and operations, settlement, and PTP. So usually these are demand planning, AFDM, and sales and operations. So that comes under one umbrella, and these 3 comes under another umbrella. So these 3 are connected to each other, and this demand planning, AFDM, and SOP. So these are connected to each other. So they share the same kind of architecture, series, and levels. With respect to licensing, you have to buy a license for individual applications. But if you are buying like production, prediction, trade planning, or trade promotions, or the sales and operations, the fundamental application is the demand management. So it always comes with that. So this is a very fundamental application, and on top of that, you have to buy it separately. And this is how it integrates with Oracle applications, or even the non-Oracle applications we can plug to Demantra. Okay, so this top bar represents Demantra. So as I mentioned, there is a hidden boundary in the Demantra. So these 3 comes under one umbrella, and these 3 comes under separate umbrella. So the demand management is a base module. On top of that, we can have AFDM and the sales and operation planning. Along with the demand management, you can use this trade promotions, promotion optimization, reduction, and settlement, along with the demand management. So these share the same kind of information series, and yeah, once we go in detail, then I will explain you what is the special in this individual applications. And then now this is a Demantra, and then now there is a separate. So now Demantra, this whole Demantra can sit in one separate server. Okay, and now VCP, we might have one separate server. So for VCP, we know that there are these are the different modules like SNO, inventory optimization, ACP, GOP, collaboration planning, and PS production scheduling. So these are the VCP modules. So this VCP module will get information from Dementia. Like ACP, we are publishing forecast back to ACP. So we'll talk about the integration. Let me go through individual box first. And then we are having another server, which is a business, where we do our regular day-to-day transactions, PO receiving, cycle counting, web completions and all. So there are similar kind of applications like JD Edwards, Siebel CRM, or even you can have non-Oracle applications, which I have not shown here, but we can have the non-Oracle applications. So to summarize, we can have 3 server architecture, one for ERP, one for planning, one for Dementia. So this is a 3 structure architecture. And in this 3 structure architecture, let's talk about first the 3 server architecture. So from e-business side, data goes to ACP, and from ACP it goes data back to Dementia, and Dementia publish that data back to ACP. So this is one kind of data flow. Another kind of data flow is you don't have VCP at all. You are using MRP. Now, but you want to use the Dementia. Is that possible? Yes, that is possible. So what we can do, that we'll publish this Dementia forecast to e-business side, to source side, and that will load that forecast under the forecast set, and that forecast set will be used by MRP. Will then run MDS and then will run MRP. So this is another way of passing that data. Or what you can do, that you are having ACP, but you don't want to publish that data back to ACP. You want to publish that data back to source side, and then from the source side, during the collection, you pull that data back to ACP. So even that configuration is also possible. Another configuration is you are having a non-Oracle ERP. You don't have ECP. So you are having only the Dementia, and so in short, you have to plug in that Dementia to, for example, Mapix. So that configuration is possible. Or you are having, for example, you are having a JD Edwards, and you are having VCP. So JD Edwards planning done by VCP, and the VCP uses data from Dementia. So that configuration is possible. So if you look at this overall structure, so integration in any way is possible. You can publish back the forecast data back to directly to ERP. You will take the data from ERP. You can bypass completely VCP, or you can go through VCP. Or you will take the information from VCP. So input is coming from VCP, output is going to your business side. That configuration is possible. So any kind of integration is possible with Dementia. Another thing is, now we have discussed about the 3 server architecture, where planning is on the separate server, Dementia is on the separate server. Okay. Another configuration is your planning and Dementia both sits on the same server. So these 2 boxes are the same, planning and Dementia, and you're having only e-business or ERP software. So even that configuration is possible. Or you can have everything on the one server. Usually that is not at all used. But even if you want to go ahead with that type of configuration, you are having pretty small business, we can go ahead with that one server architecture. For our training purpose, we are running Dementia on the standalone instance. Yep, okay. Now this is a typical forecasting cycle. So in any case, even if you use a 3 server architecture, one server with Oracle, non-Oracle, in any case, this will be your standard Dementia forecasting cycle. So first what you will do, that you will collect the data from legacy. So when you collect the data, it means that you need to whom you are selling, what you are selling, on which you sold this item, what is the quantity, from where you sold. So this is a very basic. So sold to, sold from, item, quantity, ship date. So this is a very basic information that you need. Okay, so collect that history. So that history can be we might import data from text file, Excel file, or at a database. Anything is possible. We can build that kind of integrations. So pull the data into Demantra. So now the data, that history data, is in that Demantra database. Now what we have to do next thing is we have to run an engine. So the engine will run this history data. Now that engine is having this forecasting model, statistical models. It does the calculations, and output of this statistical calculation again sent back to Demantra. Now the calculation is done. So can we directly publish the Demantra forecast to for planning? No. So it has to be reviewed by the user. So it can be a single user, or you want to go for approval hierarchy. We can go ahead with that. So it might be a multiple users or a single user. So he will review that forecast quantity. He will amend that forecast quantity, and now whatever that final forecast quantity is there, so that forecast will be published back to planning tool, ERP, or anywhere, or you will get an export in Excel report, that kind of thing. So what are the things there in the export? So you will get who is your customer, and then from where it will be sold, what will be the quantity, date, and so that information will be there, or that will be output of forward Demantra. Now we are going little bit further. We talking specific to Demantra now. So what are the different components of Demantra? So the first component of the Demantra is a collaborator workbench. So that is the first screen which will be used by individual. It will be used by end users. So this is a collaborator. So once they log in, they will see this screen. So what are the things there in that collaborator workbench? We'll see there are some pull down menu, then worksheets, and then there will be some tasks, then who is online, and this is a member browser. So that out of this, we can, so there are 4 boxes. You can hide this few box, you can adjust this box. So that is a personalization can be done. And out of that, this is very highly configurable, and which is quite useful to end users. So we'll go in detail about the member browser. Now another component is a worksheet. So once you log into the collaborative workbench, then you will dive in detail and say, okay, show me the forecast for this combination. For this is my plant, this is my warehouse, or this is my customer. For this plant and customer combination, show me the data and show me the forecast. So here we'll have the level member, level hierarchy. We'll have some graphs. This is a worksheet designer series. There will be some series which are editable, which will be shown in the white box. If the series is not editable, then it will be in a gray color. So this is our worksheets, and then another component of Demantra is Demantra engine. The engine, now again this screen will be used by Demantra admin. This will not be used by individual users. So the Demantra admin will log into this engine, and he will run that. He will run this forecasting cycle. He will run this Demantra engine, and then business modular. Now the business modular, again, it will not be used by end users. It will be used by implementer and Demantra admin. So where we'll configure lots of things, we'll define some parameters. So this is all about the components. So we started from why we have to do the forecasting, what is the challenges in the business, then why the Demantra is best in class. Then we also seen what are the different components, what are different sub-applications, how Demantra resides in overall VCP umbrella, overall how it is integrated with e-business side. So this is all about overview of Demantra, and this is a little bit about the training. So now we have seen all these applications. Our focus is the demand management. That should be our focus, and we'll have 12 to 13 sessions. This will be 1 to 2 hours. Actually, it might be extended to 2 to 3. And at the end of each session, you will get some PPT. Now I will also share some lab work, and then You will also get some notes about like if you want to install Demantra, this need to be downloaded. If you want to use vision data, this is the sample data available for you. If you want to if you want to import the data, so these are the scripts. So the scripts, vision data, and how the download that installation links that I will provide you along with PPT. And this is a quickly overview of what are the things that we are going to cover. I think we already touched base on this, so I'm not going in detail. So we are going to talk about overview. Next one is a concept, like what is meant by collaborative workbench, what is this series, what are the things that we can do with the series, workflow, what are the different workflows, and how the workflow can be started, stop, so that kind of stuff. And then we go in detailed topic, like we only focus on the collaborative workbench and worksheets. What are the things that can be done in these two, which include the security aspects, personalizing it, and then playing around that. Then levels, in the level sessions, we'll create our own level, we'll load the data, we'll see the data in the worksheets. In the series, same thing. We'll create our own level, then we'll import the data in that series and see that data in the worksheet. In the business modular, typically we'll modify the business modular, like you are doing a forecasting on a weekly bucket. Now you want to go for monthly bucket. How that can be done, or whenever we are talking about level and series, we are in fact going to touch a little bit on the business modular as well. Business model, not business model, sorry, data model. On top of that, in the business model, what are the things that are available that we'll see. Then in integration and methods, we'll talk about how to create a workflow, how that workflow can be used for integration purpose, and how the method is linked to the workflow. So these three are linked to each other, so we'll talk about that. Then VCP to Demantra integrations. So that is, so what are the different programs which are used? Again, these will be seeded programs. Most of the times what I have seen that these integration programs are customized as per individual business need. But we'll talk about the seeded integrations. We'll talk about NPI, new product introduction, how that can be done. And then key objects, like what are different table, some scripts that we'll go through it. And then there will be a last session which is mainly on the security. So we are going to talk about the security in the individual topic, but the last session, it will be a consolidated security topic, where we focus on, okay, I want to hide this series, I want to hide this worksheet, or I want to change my company logo. So that kind of all the things we'll talk about during these last sessions. And then so additional things, I will help you to install Demantra, and as I mentioned, I will provide you even the data for running this Demantra, some scripts to run for if you want to import the data from Excel to Demantra, and the lab work. And I will also help you if you are planning to do some certification. So I'm having some questions which are asked in that certification exam. I can provide you that as well. So this is all about, all these are additionals that I will provide you. I think that's it for today's sessions.